All you need to know before traveling to Korea during COVID-19. Hey everyone, so I am currently in my hotel room. This is my last day in quarantine, and tomorrow I'll be leaving the hotel and they'll be taking me to Eunseol railroad station, and from there I'll find public transportation with my 2 suitcases and try to find a place to stay. So I am traveling in the beginning of 2022. I left California January 12th and I came here January 14th. I had a layover in Istanbul, and I'll be going over everything that I need to get ready in order for me to stay here. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop it down below. Yeah, let's get into it. Things that you need to know before coming here. First off, the number one thing you need to get done is having a passport. The passport needs to be valid 6 months before you enter, but if you're planning on staying for a long time, my passport was gonna expire like within 6 months, so I had to get that renewed. About this, but basically you just need to have like a passport ready. So if you don't have one, I would get on that right now. If you're planning on traveling anytime soon, it's best to just get that figured out because it takes time to process it, and I paid a lot of money just because it was a last minute decision for me, so that's why I paid extra money to expedite my passport. I ended up paying around like $200, and then also when I got mine done, I did it through a passport agency just because I didn't want to wait in line at, you know, the regular place that you get your passport done. So currently, because of COVID, they're not issuing that many visas for foreigners. They got rid of the H-1B visa. It's like a working holiday visa where you can come as a student or a worker and you can stay for like an extended period of time, usually available for college students. Initially, I was going to get that visa, but I emailed all the Korean consulates in my area and they said no, they're not issuing any visa right now, especially for something like that. But if you live in certain countries, you can get a travel authorization. It's called the KETA, which costs about like $10, I believe. I'll link the exact amount. That visa is basically a travel authorization for up to 90 days in Korea. It's very easy to do. I literally did it the day before, but I recommend doing it earlier just so you have that in advance. It's pretty easy to get approved. You need that travel authorization in order to go because you have to have some sort of approval in order to enter Korea. Before you depart, you need a negative PCR test. It needs to be taken within 72 hours of your departure. That is also something that I was panicking about right before I left, just because it takes time for the PCR test to develop, but also during that time there was like a COVID spike in my area. There was like no openings to get like a PCR test at CVS, which is like a really good place to get it if you need your results fast. I would really recommend you look that up in advance, and if you're leaving anytime soon or if you're planning to leave, I would schedule it like 2 or 3 weeks in advance just so that you know you'll have it. I wasn't sure if it was 72 hours before departure time or departure date. I was kind of unclear about that because I read 2 different things, so I took 2 just in case. I didn't want to cut it too close where I wasn't sure if I would get the results on time, but also I didn't want to be denied if like the time I took the test and the time I departed was different. You definitely need those 2 forms, so the KETA and the PCR test negative. You need to print those 2 forms out before you go to the airport, so you need to have that along with your passport. Don't forget to print them out because I thought screenshots would work, but no, they need it printed on a piece of paper. I had to pay $7 at the San Francisco International Airport to do this because I didn't think ahead, and I was like, yeah, they'll just accept phone, but they don't accept phone screenshots. That's like basically everything that I wish I knew like right before I came. I didn't really have anyone that I knew talking about this. I tried reading online, but there wasn't that many resources besides the official Korean government website, and it's a little bit complicated just because there's like websites and stuff like that. It's like they're kind of slow to communicate with the government. I had to like figure everything out on my own. I read online that you would need a ticket out of Korea within 90 days, but for me personally, they did not check. I booked a flight anyways just in case because I didn't want to get turned away at the airport. I literally booked the ticket the night before I flew to Vietnam, and I just booked the ticket because it was like cheap. It was only like $100 or so, and I wanted to go to Vietnam after, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be open or not. I can show them, and then if not, then I'll just lose the $100 or try to cancel it somehow if it doesn't work out. After this, I'll probably go to Vietnam unless anything else changes. So you'd want something showing that you'll be leaving Korea within those 90 days. And something that I wish I brought before I came was an electronic converter. I live in the US. We have a different type of plug. I guess I should have known that, but I didn't really do much research. I was like, okay, I'll just do things last minute. So I came here and I was like freaking out because I didn't see any outlets. They look like this. I'll insert a picture of it. I'm not sure about outside, but I'm pretty sure the standard is not the one that we usually use. I would buy like an all-in-one travel adapter because you're gonna be quarantining for 10 days. You don't know if the hotel you'll be staying in will have that outlet. That's like basically everything that I wish I knew like right before I came. So for quarantine, this is January 2020. The quarantine time period is 10 days. For me personally, I am staying at Hyatt Incheon, so 5 minutes away from the Incheon airport. The total cost was around 1,075. I'm assuming that if you stay here for that amount of time at Hyatt, then it'll be around the same price, but I would allocate additional money just in case it costs a little bit more. I think online it said you have to be prepared to spend at least $1,200. In my head, I was planning on spending like $1,500 or $1,300, so it was a pleasant surprise. This is the biggest thing that kind of deterred me from going here. It's just because like of how expensive that is. It's like literally more than my ticket. Oh, for my ticket, I paid like $460 for a one-way flight. Honestly, that is pretty pricey just because I know I can get a better deal. But I planned it last minute and I wanted to leave as soon as I can just in case the borders closed because of COVID. I'm sure you can find cheaper one-way tickets to Seoul. I'm planning on staying at a Goshewon, and those are small one-room apartment in Korea, and they're very, very tiny, almost like a box, but it's very cost efficient. Because I'm on a budget and I want to stay in Asia for a very long time, I chose like the most wallet-friendly place. I think I want to make a whole separate video on Goshewon. I am gonna be looking for a place tomorrow to stay in Hongdae. The price that the guy is giving me is $230. Korean won, it's 270,000 won. Regarding the onboarding process, once you get to the airport, it was very complicated, but also not that bad, I'd say. If you don't speak English or Korean, I have a hard time just, getting around. But once you get there, you get shuttled to a line. It's like for all incoming international travel to Seoul, I believe. And you have to present like your PCR, your travel authorization. You gotta have all of those, your passport, and they do like temperature checks. And if you're like a foreigner and you don't have like an address in Korea, then you speak to these people. Oh, one thing that you definitely do need is the phone number of someone who lives in Korea. So a Korean phone number. I totally forgot that I read about this right before I left, and they were like, it was like 11 p.m. and these people, like these Korean guys at a table were like, okay, give me like a give me a Korean phone number that I can call. And I was like, oh shoot, I did not prepare for this, even though I like read it on Reddit somewhere. But I called like a phone number that I kind of knew, like I barely knew this person, and she didn't pick up. I was like, oh, I literally don't have anyone else. But so my friend's mom gave me her daughter's number, and her daughter picked up, thank goodness. But I've never introduced myself to these people, like they don't know who I am. But she like talked to the guy, and I was like, what's happening? I hope they don't send me back, because I was trying to say like, oh, I kind of know this person, but it was, thankfully it worked out. I would really recommend you befriend someone here, or at least if you know anyone or know anyone that's traveling Korea right now, just give them, just have that number ready so that when they call, they can verify that you're actually who you say you are. That was honestly the most nerve-wracking part, honestly. Like I was so scared no one would pick up. But yeah, besides the phone number, you talk to these officials, and they just kind of like take a picture of your face, your fingerprint, and they ask you how long you're staying. And then after that, they say like, oh, if you are not a Korean citizen, or if you're not like a foreigner registered living in Korea, then you have to quarantine. So there's no exemptions, especially right now. I believe they might be doing quarantine exemptions for special cases starting like February 3rd or 10th, something like that. You'll find the information on the website. But that is basically my experience. So yeah, I had to do my quarantine if I wanted to stay here. And for me, the only reason why it was worth it is because I'm planning on staying here for 3 months. And Korea is one of my top countries in Asia that I wanted to stay at, just because I do know the language and I feel more comfortable staying here, just because I do have online school and I need to be able to have Wi-Fi and all that stuff. And it makes it easier if I can get around if I know Korean. So yeah, that's why I chose Korea. After this, I honestly, I'm very excited because I heard that Vietnam might be opening up. So after this, I need to plan that out. Leave this place, and something that you also have to do is in public places, Korea needs proof of vaccine or a negative COVID test. But if you take a negative COVID test, it expires on the 2nd day, I believe. And I haven't had first-hand experience. This is just what I've read on websites and people talking about it. But I need to go register basically my vaccine that was administered in the US here, like so that it can get approved by the Korean government. So I'll be going to this like health district office where I had to call like the Center of Disease Control to get all that information. I couldn't find it easily online. So yeah, I called the number that was given in a packet when I came here, and I'm pretty sure you can find it online too, but I used a hotel phone to call them, so I didn't have to call them with my own phone number, so I had to pay for minutes. But after I got on the line, they spoke to me in English, and I asked them if I could get the address of the place just so that I know where to go tomorrow. So yeah, if you're staying around Hongdae, there's this office in Mapogu, but I guess it depends on which area of Seoul you're going to be staying in. So I would also call the number just so I can find that out. And I'll update you guys on that experience just because I haven't done it yet. But yeah, I'm gonna get that registered tomorrow just so I can, go to grocery stores and stuff like that. So let me know if you guys want more information about, like once I got to the hotel, how quarantine was like, and like more details about the airport, because I can provide that if that's something that you guys would want. I did my best to cover like just the overall general knowledge that I needed to have before I went, and things that I figured out along the way, just so you guys don't make the same mistakes that I was and feel a little bit more prepared. It definitely is a little bit stressful going, not gonna lie, but the people there were very helpful. They were very nice, especially the staff at the airport. A lot of them can speak English very, very well. that gives me a lot of reassurance, just because, like, yes, I know a little bit of Korean, but you know, like, once you're in a stressful situation like that, you kind of start panicking. But honestly, the experience for me wasn't that bad. I was like chilling, because I knew everything just because I did my research it's gonna happen. But a lot of people that came in, there was like a young girl and an old lady. The old lady was from Mongolia and the young girl was like from Russia, I believe. They're not fluent in English, they know a little bit of English, and that just made the communication a little bit harder, and I would assume that it's more stressful. The two people that came with me were very stressed and they started crying, and I was trying to comfort them. But yeah, so I would honestly just familiarize yourself with like the rules. If you're going later than this, then I would also look up the current updated rules. Hopefully they get rid of the quarantine once Omicron settles down a little bit, but for now that is how I got into Korea. And so hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. You can comment that down below, and if you like this video and found it useful, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll be doing a lot more vlogs once I get out of this jail. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed and have a great day.